Captain Li Kang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the stars through the main screen. His hands gripped the rail as he listened to the radio chatter from the retreating human fleet. Ship after ship reported damage. Some ships were completely destroyed. The war was not going well for humanity. The alien Vorthon Empire had been attacking human colonies for 3 years. They had bigger fleets and stronger weapons. Every time humans tried to fight back, the aliens won with their superior numbers. Now the Vorthans were moving toward Earth itself, and there were not many human ships left to stop them. Admiral Park Sun's voice came through the communication system. Her face appeared on the screen looking tired and worried. Behind her, other officers worked frantically at their stations. "Kang, we need to talk about the situation." "I'm listening, Admiral," Kang replied. He had served under Park Sun for 5 years and respected her judgment. She had always been honest with her captains, even when the news was bad. "The Vorthon main fleet is moving through the Centauri system. Our scouts report over 200 ships. They'll reach Earth's outer defenses in 4 days. Park Sun paused, looking at data on her screen. "We have 47 ships left in fighting condition." Kang felt his stomach drop. 200 enemy ships against 47 human ships. It was not a battle they could win through normal means. "What are our orders, Admiral?" "We're pulling back to Earth's final defense line. All civilian transports are evacuating the outer colonies. We need time for them to escape." Park Sun looked directly at Kang through the screen. "The Indomitable was built for situations like this. How ready is she for combat?" Kang looked around his bridge. The Indomitable was different from other human ships. It was an experimental battleship designed by Dr. Omin and his team. The ship used new technology that no one fully understood yet. It had special shields that could adapt to enemy weapons. Its guns could hit targets in ways that seemed impossible. Most importantly, it had an artificial intelligence that could think almost like a human. Chief Engineer Kim Bo walked up to Kang. Kim Bo was a small man with quick hands and an even quicker mind. He had worked on the Indomitable since its construction began. "Captain, all systems are running at full capacity. The quantum phase drives are stable. Ghost is ready for combat operations." Ghost was the name the crew had given to the ship's artificial intelligence. The AI could control the ship's weapons and shields faster than any human could. It could also make the ship phase through solid objects, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. This technology had never been tested in real battle. "Ghost, what's your assessment of our combat readiness?" Kang asked the air. The AI's voice came from speakers around the bridge. "All weapon systems are functioning at optimal levels, Captain. Shields are at maximum strength. I have run over 10,000 battle simulations. We are ready." Ghost's voice sounded almost human, but there was something different about it. Something that reminded everyone it was a machine. Tactical officer. Han Sul looked up from his station. "Captain, we're receiving reports from the advanced scouts. A Vorthon scouting force of 30 ships has entered the Kepler system. They're moving fast toward our position." Kang made his decision. He had joined the Space Force to protect humanity. The Indomitable was humanity's most advanced weapon, and it was time to see what it could do. "Admiral Park Sun, I request permission to engage the enemy advance force." Park Sun's eyes widened. "Kang, that's 30 ships against 1. Even with the Indomitable's capabilities, those odds are impossible?" Kang smiled grimly. "The Indomitable was designed to do impossible things. If we can't stop 30 ships, we certainly can't stop 200. Let us prove what this ship can do." Communications specialist Choi Na turned to face the captain. Sir, the other ships in our fleet are requesting orders. They want to support us in the attack. Tell them to maintain their position. This is something we have to do alone. Kang knew that other ships would interfere with Ghost's calculations. The AI needed complete freedom to maneuver the Indomitable through space and time. Admiral Park Sun was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. Very well, Captain. You have permission to engage. Show those aliens what humanity can do. But if things go wrong, retreat immediately. We can't afford to lose the Indomitable. Understood, Admiral. Indomitable out. The communication link closed, leaving the bridge in relative silence. Kang looked at his crew. These were the best people humanity had to offer. Han Sul was the finest tactical officer in the fleet. Choi. Nay could manage communications with dozens of ships at once. Kim Bo understood the ship's engines better than their original designers. All hands, this is the captain speaking, Kang announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage 30 enemy ships. Our mission is to buy time for the civilian evacuations and show the Vorthans that humanity will not give up without a fight. I know this seems impossible, but this ship was built for impossible missions. Trust in your training, trust in each other, and trust in the Indomitable. Kim. Bo ran final checks on the ship's systems. Captain, quantum phase drives are ready. We can begin phase shifting on your command. Ghost. Plot an intercept course for the Vorthan scout fleet. Use whatever route gives us the best tactical advantage. Course plotted, Captain. Recommend approach through the asteroid field in Sector 7. The asteroids will provide cover and limit their ability to surround us. Make it so. All crew, prepare for combat. The Indomitable turned toward the enemy fleet. Its sleek hull gleamed under the light of distant stars. The ship was beautiful and deadly, designed to move through space like a hunting animal. As it accelerated, reality seemed to bend around it. The ship's experimental drives allowed it to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Enemy fleet detected on long-range sensors, Han Sul reported. 30 ships in standard Vorthon attack formation. They're moving to intercept us. They probably think we're crazy for attacking with just one ship, Choi Na said. Maybe we are. Crazy, Kim Bo replied. But crazy is better than dead. Kang watched the tactical display as the two forces moved toward each other. The Vorthon ships were larger than the Indomitable, but they were also slower and less maneuverable. More importantly, they had never faced anything like Ghost's tactical abilities. Ghost, begin combat analysis of enemy ships. I want to know their weapons, their weaknesses, and the best way to destroy them. Analysis in progress, Captain. Vorthan ships use standard plasma cannon arrays and ion torpedo systems. Their shields are strong but inflexible. I detect several vulnerabilities in their formation. The distance between the fleets closed rapidly. Soon they would be in weapons range, and the real test would begin. Kang had trained for this moment his entire career, but he had never faced odds like these. No human had. All stations report ready for combat, Han Sul announced. Weapons armed and ready to fire, Choi Na added. Engines running at full power, Kim Bo confirmed. Kang took a deep breath. In a few minutes, they would know if the Indomitable could really do what it was designed to do. They would know if one ship could stand against 30. They would know if humanity's greatest weapon was ready to save them all. Take us in, Ghost. Let's show them what impossible looks like. The Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace in a flash of blue light. Immediately, the ship's sensors picked up 30 Vorthan vessels arranged in their typical attack pattern. The alien ships were dark and angular, like giant metal insects floating in space. Each one was twice the size of a normal human battleship. On the lead Vorthan ship, Overlord Thex stared at his tactical display in confusion. His sensors showed only one human ship approaching his fleet. He had expected a trap, but his scouts reported no other human vessels in the area. "Commander, the humans have sent only one ship to face us," his tactical officer reported. "It appears to be some kind of new design." Thex laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through his ship's bridge. "One ship against 30? The humans have finally lost their minds. This will be easier than I thought." He opened a communication channel to his fleet. "All ships, destroy the human vessel quickly. We have a schedule to keep. On the Indomitables." Bridge. Captain Kang watched the enemy formation through the main screen. The Vorthan ships were moving to surround his vessel, just as Ghost had predicted they would. "Ghost, begin evasive maneuvers. Show me what this ship can really do." "Engaging phase shift technology now, Captain." The Indomitable suddenly became translucent, like a reflection in water. The ship's quantum phase drives allowed it to exist, partially in another dimension, making it nearly impossible to hit with conventional weapons. At the same time, it could still fire its own guns normally. Chief Engineer Kim Bo monitored the phase drives from his station. "Captain, phase shift is stable. We can maintain this state for approximately 40 minutes before the drives need to cool down." "That should be enough time," Kang replied. "Ghost, target the enemy ships on the outer edge of their formation. Hit them fast before they can coordinate their response." The Indomitable moved through space like a hunting shark. Its phase-shifted state allowed it to pass through the asteroid field that would have blocked normal ships. The Vorthans watched, in shock as the human vessel appeared to fly through solid rock. "Impossible," Thex muttered. "No ship can do that." "Sir, the human vessel is not showing up on our targeting computers," his weapons officer reported. "Our guns cannot lock onto it." Han Sul tracked the enemy movements from his tactical station. "Captain, the Vorthans are trying to spread out to avoid being caught in a crossfire. 3 ships are moving to flank us from the left." "I see them," Ghost replied, adjusting course to intercept. The Indomitable's main guns fired for the first time in combat. Twin beams of blue energy struck the lead Vorthan ship on its port side. The alien vessel's shields flared and collapsed under the unexpected assault. The beams cut through the ship's hull like it was made of paper. The Vorthan ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light and debris. The explosion was so sudden that the nearby enemy vessels had to change course to avoid the wreckage. "First kill." "Confirmed," Choi Na announced. "Enemy ship destroyed." Overlord Thex could not believe what he was seeing. One of his ships had just been destroyed by a single shot from the human vessel. "All ships, concentrate fire on that ship. Destroy it now." Dozens of plasma cannons and ion torpedoes fired at the Indomitable. The weapons passed harmlessly through the phase-shifted ship, striking asteroids and empty space behind it. The human vessel continued its attack run as if the enemy weapons did not exist. "Their weapons cannot touch us while we're phase-shifted," Kim Bo reported with excitement. "The technology is working perfectly." Ghost's tactical computer analyzed the enemy formation and selected the next target. "Captain, targeting the command ship in the center of their formation. Recommend quantum torpedo attack." "Do it." The Indomitable fired 4 quantum torpedoes. The weapons traveled through normal space until they reached their target, then phase-shifted at the last second to pass through the enemy ship's shields. The torpedoes exploded inside the Vorthan vessel's hull, destroying it from within. 2. Enemy ships destroyed in less than 5 minutes. The remaining Vorthons began to panic. They had never faced an enemy that could attack them without being attacked in return. "Sir, we must retreat," Thex's tactical officer said. "We cannot fight an enemy we cannot hit." "No!" Thex shouted. "We outnumber them 28-1. There must be a way to destroy that ship." But the Indomitable was not finished. Ghost had identified the weaknesses in the Vorthon formation and was exploiting them with ruthless efficiency. The ship appeared behind a group of enemy vessels, fired its main guns, then phase-shifted away before they could respond. Another Vorthon ship exploded, then another. The human vessel moved through the enemy formation like a deadly ghost, striking, without warning and disappearing before the aliens could fight back. Han Sul watched the tactical display with amazement. "Captain, we've destroyed 5 enemy ships and taken no damage. The Vorthons are trying to retreat. Ghost, don't let them escape. We need to send a message that humanity will not be easily defeated." The Indomitable pursued the fleeing Vorthon ships. Its speed and maneuverability were far superior to the alien vessels. One by one, it hunted down the retreating ships and destroyed them. Overlord Thex's ship was the last to be caught. The human vessel appeared directly in front of his bridge, its guns aimed at his command center. Thex could see the alien ship clearly through his view screen, its hull seeming to flicker between solid and translucent. "This is impossible," he whispered. "One ship cannot defeat an entire fleet." The Indomitable's main guns fired one final time. Thex's ship disappeared in a ball of fire and debris. On the Indomitable's bridge, the crew watched the last enemy vessel explode. 30 Vorthon ships had been reduced to nothing but floating wreckage in less than 20 minutes. "All enemy vessels destroyed," Han Sul reported. "No survivors detected." "Outstanding work, everyone," Kang said. "Ghost, how are our systems?" "All systems functioning normally, Captain. Phase drives used only 60% of their capacity. Weapons are recharged and ready for additional combat." Kim Bo ran diagnostics on the ship's engines. "Captain, we could fight another battle just like this one without any problems. The ship performed even better than we hoped." Choi Na monitored communications from the human fleet. "Sir, Admiral Park Sun is requesting a full report. The other captains want to know how we destroyed 30 enemy ships without taking any damage." Kang smiled for the first time in days. The Indomitable had proven itself in combat. The ship could really do what its designers had promised. But this was just the beginning. The real test would come when the main Vorthon fleet arrived. "Send our report to Admiral Park Sun. Tell her that the Indomitable is ready for whatever the Vorthons can throw at us." Kang looked at the debris field that had once been 30 enemy ships. "And tell her that humanity has a new weapon in this war, a weapon that can level the playing field." The Indomitable turned away from the battle site and headed back toward the human fleet. Behind it, the wreckage of the Vorthon ships floated in the darkness of space, a warning to any alien commander who thought humanity would be easy to defeat. Word of the impossible victory would spread quickly through both human and alien space. The war had just taken a very different turn. News of the Indomitable's victory spread through human space like wildfire. On Earth, Commander Yun Da stood in the Defense Command Center, watching reports flood in from across the solar system. Every human colony, every military base, every civilian transport was talking about the impossible battle. "Commander, we're receiving messages from all over the outer colonies," her communications officer reported. "Morale is improving everywhere. People are saying that if one ship can defeat 30, maybe we can win this war after all." Yunda studied the tactical reports from the battle. The numbers seemed impossible, but the evidence was clear. 30. Vorthan ships destroyed, 0 human casualties. She had served in the military for 20 years and had never seen anything like it. "Get me a secure channel to Admiral Park Sun," she ordered. "I need to understand how this was possible." While Yunda worked to coordinate Earth's defenses, the Indomitable was returning to the human fleet. In the ship's engine room, Kim Bo ran detailed diagnostics on every system. The battle had pushed the experimental technology to its limits, but everything was working perfectly. "Captain," Kim Bo called over the communication system. "The quantum phase. Drives are operating at 100% efficiency. Actually, they're performing better than our original calculations predicted. It's like the ship is learning how to use its own systems more effectively." On the bridge, Captain Kang discussed the battle results with his senior officers. Han Sul had compiled a complete tactical analysis, while Choi Na monitored communications from across human space. "Sir, we're receiving congratulations from ships throughout the fleet," Choi Na reported. "Captain Li Jin from the Defiant wants to know if we can teach other ships to phase shift like we did." "That's not possible," Kang replied. "The Indomitable was specifically designed for this technology. The quantum drives are built into the ship's basic structure. We can't just add them to existing vessels." Ghost's voice came from the bridge. Speakers. "Captain, I have been analyzing the battle data. The Vorthan ships used standard attack patterns that are predictable and inefficient. If all their fleets fight the same way, we can exploit these weaknesses in future engagements." "What about their communication systems?" Kang asked. "Did any ships send messages before we destroyed them?" "The last 3 ships transmitted emergency signals to the Vorthan fleet," Ghost confirmed. "They sent tactical data about our weapons and phase-shifting abilities. The enemy will know what they're facing next time." Han Sul looked worried. "Captain, if the Vorthans know about our capabilities, they might develop countermeasures. Or they might send more ships than we can handle." Kang nodded. This was the problem with secret weapons. Once you used them, they weren't secret anymore. But there had been no choice. Humanity needed hope, and the Indomitable had given them that. Meanwhile, in Vorthan space, the news of the defeat was causing chaos. Supreme Overlord Crix sat in his throne room on the capital ship Dominator, reading reports from the battle site. His advisors stood nervously around him, waiting for his reaction. 30 ships, Crix said slowly. 30 of our finest vessels, destroyed by a single human ship. How is this possible? Admiral Vex, the Empire's most experienced military commander, stepped forward. "Supreme Overlord, the humans appear to have developed new technology. Their ship could phase through solid matter and could not be targeted by our weapons." "Phase through matter?" Crix's voice was dangerous. "Explain this." "The surviving data suggests their ship exists partially in another dimension. It can attack us while remaining untouchable. This technology threatens our entire military strategy." Crix stood up from his throne, his massive form towering over his advisors. The Vorthan Empire had conquered dozens of star systems using their superior numbers and firepower. The idea that a single enemy ship could defeat an entire squadron was unthinkable. "How many ships do we have in the main fleet approaching Earth?" he demanded. 200 vessels, Supreme Overlord," Admiral Vex replied, "plus support ships and carriers." "Not enough. If one human ship can destroy 30 of ours, we need overwhelming force." Crix began pacing, his mind working through the tactical problems. "Recall Admiral Mex's fleet from the outer systems. Bring Admiral Tor's ships from the Border Patrol. I want 400 ships moving toward Earth. Sir, that will leave our other territories nearly defenseless, one advisor warned. Our other territories won't matter if the humans have weapons that can defeat our fleets, Crix replied coldly. This single ship must be destroyed before it can teach other humans its secrets. Back on Earth, Admiral Park's son was meeting with the Defense Council in an emergency session. The victory at Kepler had bought them time, but the main Vorthan fleet was still approaching. The Indomitable has proven that our new technology works, Park's son told the council members, but we only have one ship with these capabilities. Dr. O'Min estimates it would take 6 months to build another vessel like it. We don't have 6 months, replied Council Leader Kim Hay. The Vorthons will be here in 3 days. Dr. O'Min stood up to address the council. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had worked for 5 years to develop the technology that made the Indomitable possible. The quantum phase. Technology requires a special type of artificial intelligence, he explained. Ghost isn't just a computer, it's a thinking machine that can interface with human consciousness. We've only been able to create one AI with these capabilities. Can we build more ships without the AI? Asked another council member. The ships would be powerful, but not nearly as effective. Ghost's tactical abilities are what make the Indomitable truly dangerous. Without that AI, we'd just have very expensive battleships. Admiral Park's son studied the tactical displays showing the approaching Vorthon fleet. Then we have to make sure the Indomitable is ready for whatever they send at us. How is Captain Kang holding up? The neural interface with Ghost puts strain on the captain's mind, Dr. O'Min admitted. Each battle is like running a marathon while solving complex mathematics. Kang is strong, but even he has limits. Can anyone else interface with Ghost? We've tested dozens of pilots. Kang is the only one whose brain patterns are compatible with the AI. Without him, the Indomitable loses much of its effectiveness. The council members exchanged worried looks. Humanity's greatest weapon depended on a single man and a single ship. If either failed, Earth would be defenseless. On the Indomitable, Captain Kang was dealing with his own concerns. The neural interface with Ghost was giving him headaches, and he could feel the strain of processing information at superhuman speeds. But he also felt something else, a connection with the ship that went beyond normal human experience. Ghost, how do you feel about our chances against the main Vorthon fleet? He asked. I calculate a 67% probability of success, Captain, the AI replied. However, this assumes the enemy does not significantly change their tactics. If they adapt to our capabilities, the odds become much less favorable. Kang nodded. The next battle would be the real test. 30 ships had been a warm-up. 200 ships would determine whether humanity survived or fell to the Vorthon Empire. He looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere in that darkness, an enormous alien fleet was coming to destroy everything he cared about. But the Indomitable was ready, Ghost was ready, and Kang himself was ready to do whatever it took to protect humanity. The impossible had already happened once. Now they needed it to happen again. 5 years earlier, Dr. O'Min had made a discovery that would change the course of human history. In his laboratory on Mars, he was studying the differences between human and alien brain patterns when he noticed something remarkable. Computer, display the neural activity scans from the Vorthan prisoners, O'Min said to his research assistant. The holographic display showed the brain patterns of captured alien soldiers. The patterns were organized and logical, but they followed predictable mathematical sequences. They were efficient, but inflexible. Now show me the human test subjects, Min requested. The human brain patterns were completely different. They jumped between logical and creative thinking in ways that seemed random but weren't. Human minds could hold contradictory ideas at the same time and somehow make sense of them. Fascinating, Min muttered. The human brain doesn't just process information, it creates new patterns of thought that shouldn't be possible according to standard logic. His assistant, Dr. Park Young, looked at the displays with confusion. Sir, I don't understand what you're seeing. Look at these quantum resonance patterns, Min pointed to specific areas of the brain scans. Human consciousness seems to naturally interface with quantum-level processes. Alien minds don't show this capability at all. This discovery led Min to experiment with quantum computers. Normal computers processed information in binary states, ones and zeros. Quantum computers could exist in multiple states simultaneously, processing vast amounts of information at incredible speeds. The problem with quantum computers was that they were unstable. They needed perfect conditions to function, and even small disturbances could cause them to lose coherence. But Min theorized that human consciousness could stabilize quantum processes in ways no one had imagined. He spent 2 years developing the first prototype. The quantum computer was connected to a human volunteer through a neural interface. The results were extraordinary. The computer's processing power increased by a factor of 10,000 when guided by human thought patterns. It's like the human mind gives the quantum processes direction and purpose, Min explained to the military officials who came to observe his work. The computer doesn't just calculate faster, it thinks in ways that pure logic cannot achieve. Admiral Park's son was one of those officials. She immediately understood the military applications of Min's discovery. Doctor, could this technology be used to control spacecraft? Theoretically, yes, Min replied. A quantum computer guided by human consciousness could pilot a ship with precision that's impossible for normal AI systems. It could predict enemy movements, calculate optimal weapon trajectories, and coordinate defensive systems simultaneously. What would you need to build such a system? Time, resources, and the right test pilot. The neural interface puts enormous strain on the human mind. We would need someone with exceptional mental discipline and natural compatibility with quantum thought patterns. The military gave Min everything he asked for. Over the next 3 years, he developed the technology that would become the Indomitables, quantum phase system. The ship could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously because its AI could process quantum states that normal computers couldn't handle, but the AI needed human guidance to remain stable. Without a compatible human consciousness connected to it, the quantum systems would collapse within minutes. Captain Lee Kang was selected after testing hundreds of candidates. His brain patterns showed natural quantum resonance that was off the charts. When connected to the prototype system, his neural activity synchronized perfectly with the quantum computer. It's like they were made for each other, Min observed during the first successful test. Kang's mind doesn't just control the computer. It merges with it to create something entirely new. The first time Kang interfaced with Ghost, he experienced something beyond normal human perception. He could feel the ship's systems as if they were part of his own body. He could sense enemy vessels across vast distances. Most remarkably, he could think at superhuman speeds while maintaining human intuition and creativity. It's incredible, Kang reported after the initial test. I can process tactical information faster than any computer, but I can also feel things that pure logic can't understand. I know what the enemy is going to do before they do it. The quantum phase technology came from this same principle. By existing partially in quantum states, the ship could phase through normal matter while still being able to interact with the physical world. It was like being a ghost that could still touch things when it chose to. But the technology came with a price. Each time Kang interfaced with Ghost, the neural strain grew stronger. His brain was being forced to process information at levels far beyond normal human capacity. Dr. Oh-min monitored his condition carefully, worried about the long-term effects. The human mind wasn't designed to think at quantum speeds. Oh-min warned Admiral Park's son. Kang is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Each battle could be his last. Can we reduce the strain somehow? Park's son asked. Not without reducing the system's effectiveness. The more Kang interfaces with Ghost, the stronger their connection becomes. But that same connection is what makes him vulnerable to neural feedback. On the Indomitable, Kang was experiencing these effects firsthand. After the battle with the 30 Vorthon ships, he had suffered severe headaches and brief moments of disorientation. He could feel Ghost's thought processes overlapping with his own, creating a hybrid consciousness that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Ghost, how do you perceive the world? Kang asked during a quiet moment on the bridge. I process information as patterns of probability and possibility, the AI replied. But when connected to your mind, I experience something additional, something that logic cannot define, but that makes the patterns meaningful. You mean emotions? More than emotions. Purpose. Direction. The ability to choose between equally logical options based on factors that cannot be calculated. It is what makes our partnership effective. Chief Engineer Kim Bo was fascinated by the technology but concerned about its effects on the captain. He had worked closely with Dr. Oh-min during the ship's construction and understood the risks involved. Captain, your neural activity levels are increasing with each interface session, Kim Bo reported. You're essentially becoming more machine-like, while Ghost becomes more human-like. At some point, you might not be able to separate your consciousness from the AIs. Kang considered this possibility. The idea of merging permanently with Ghost was both appealing and frightening. He would gain incredible abilities, but he might lose his humanity in the process. How long do we have before that happens? He asked. Dr. Oh-min's calculations suggest that after prolonged combat operations, the neural integration might become irreversible. But those are just theories. We're in uncharted territory. Despite the risks, Kang knew he had to continue. Humanity was facing extinction, and the Indomitable was their only hope. If the price of victory was his individual identity, it was a price he was willing to pay. The main Vorthon fleet was approaching, and soon the real test would begin. The technology that made the impossible possible would be pushed to its absolute limits. Either it would save humanity, or it would destroy the man who had made it work. Kang returned to his quarters to rest before the next battle. In his dreams, he flew through space without a ship, thinking thoughts that spanned light years and feeling the pulse of distant stars. He was becoming something more than human, something that might be humanity's salvation or its newest evolution. Time would tell which one it would be. Admiral Vex sat in his command chair aboard the battleship destroyer, watching his fleet move through hyperspace toward the human system. 100 of the Vorthon Empire's finest warships followed his flagship, more firepower than had ever been assembled for a single battle. Admiral, we will reach the human coordinates in 2 hours, his navigation officer reported. Long-range sensors are detecting their experimental ship near the asteroid field in the Kepler system. Vex studied the tactical display showing the lone human vessel. He had read the reports from Overlord Thex's destroyed fleet, but part of him still couldn't believe that one ship had defeated 30 Vorthon vessels. It seemed impossible, even with the strange phase-shifting technology. All ships maintain attack formation. When we engage the human vessel, I want overlapping fields of fire. If their ship can become untouchable, we'll fill space with so much weapons fire that it won't matter. On the Indomitable, Captain Kang felt the familiar tingle in his mind as Ghost's systems came online. The neural interface was becoming easier each time, but the strain was also growing stronger. He could feel the AI's consciousness touching, his own, sharing thoughts and perceptions. "Ghost, status report on the approaching fleet," Kang said. 100 Vorthon vessels approaching from hyperspace," Ghost replied. "Estimated arrival in 1 hour, 47 minutes. Weapons analysis indicates significant increase in firepower compared to previous engagement." Chief Engineer Kim Bo monitored the quantum phase drives from his station. "Captain, I'm reading some unusual fluctuations in the quantum field generators. The drives are operating normally, but they're drawing more power than expected." "Is that a problem?" Kang asked. "Not necessarily. The system seems to be adapting to combat conditions. Each battle makes the phase shift more efficient. It's like the technology is learning from experience." Han Sul looked up from his tactical station. "Sir, recommend we position ourselves in the asteroid field. The rocks will limit their ability to surround us and give us cover for hit-and-run attacks." "Agreed. Ghost, take us into the field. Choose a position that gives us maximum tactical advantage." The Indomitable moved into the dense asteroid field that filled this region of space. The rocks ranged in size from small boulders to mountains several kilometers across. Normal ships would have difficulty navigating the field, but the Indomitable could phase through the asteroids when necessary. "Enemy fleet dropping out of hyperspace," Choi Na announced. 100 ships in standard battle formation. Through the main screen, Kang could see the Vorthon fleet materializing in bright flashes of light. Each ship was massive and bristling with weapons. Together, they represented enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Admiral Vex was shocked by what his sensors were showing. "The human ship is hiding in an asteroid field. Do they think rocks will protect them from our guns?" "Sir, our targeting systems are having difficulty locking onto the human vessel," his weapons officer reported. "The asteroids are interfering with our sensors." "Then blast the asteroids out of the way. I want clear fields of fire on that ship," the Basai. Vorthan fleet opened fire on the asteroid field. Hundreds of plasma cannons and ion torpedoes struck the floating rocks, shattering them into smaller pieces. But instead of clearing the field, the bombardment created even more debris and made targeting more difficult. "Ghost, they're trying to clear the asteroids." "Time to show them why that's a mistake," Kang said. The Indomitable phase shifted and moved through the debris field like a shark through water. It appeared behind a group of Vorthan ships that were focused on destroying asteroids. The ship's main guns fired at point-blank range, destroying 2 enemy vessels before they knew they were under attack. "Impossible!" Admiral Vex shouted. "How? Did they get behind our formation?" The Indomitable disappeared again, phasing through a large asteroid to escape the return fire. Dozens of Vorthan weapons struck the rock where the human ship had been, but found only empty space. "Sir, the human vessel can move through solid matter," Vex's tactical officer reported. "Our weapons cannot touch it while it's phase-shifted." "Then, we'll destroy everything in this system until there's nowhere left to hide," Vex ordered. "All ships, maximum firepower. Turn this asteroid field into dust. The Vorthon fleet unleashed devastating firepower into the asteroid field. But their massive bombardment worked against them. The debris created sensor shadows that made tracking the Indomitable even more difficult. Meanwhile, the human ship used the chaos to strike repeatedly. Ghost's tactical systems were operating at peak efficiency. The AI could track all 100 enemy ships simultaneously while calculating optimal attack patterns. Each strike was precisely planned to cause maximum damage with minimum exposure. "Captain, I am detecting weaknesses in their formation," Ghost reported. "Recommendation: target the command ships first to disrupt their coordination." "Do it!" The Indomitable appeared above Admiral Vex's flagship. Quantum torpedoes phased through the ship's shields and exploded inside the hull. The destroyer's bridge was destroyed instantly, taking Admiral Vex with it. Without their commander, the Vorthon fleet began to lose coordination. Individual ship captains made their own decisions about how to fight the phantom human vessel, but their uncoordinated attacks were easily avoided. Kimbo watched the power readings from the quantum drives. "Captain, the phase shift system is running smoother than ever. We can maintain this state for hours if necessary." "Excellent. Ghost, continue the attack. Target their heavy cruisers next." For the next 6 hours, the Indomitable waged a one-sided battle against the Vorthon fleet. The human ship would appear, destroy one or more enemy vessels, then vanish before the aliens could respond. The asteroid field became a graveyard of burning Vorthon ships. 50 enemy vessels destroyed, Han Sul reported. "The remaining ships are trying to retreat." "Don't let them escape," Kang ordered. "We need to send a message that humanity will not be defeated." The Indomitable pursued the fleeing Vorthon ships, hunting them down one by one. Its speed and maneuverability were far superior to the alien vessels. More importantly, Ghost's tactical abilities allowed it to predict where the enemy ships would try to run. But the prolonged battle was taking its toll on Captain Kang. The neural interface with Ghost was causing severe headaches and moments of disorientation. He could feel his consciousness merging more deeply with the AI's systems. "Captain, your neural activity is showing dangerous levels," Kimbo warned. "You need to disconnect from Ghost before the integration becomes permanent." "Not yet," Kang replied through gritted teeth. "We're almost finished. The last group of Vorthon ships tried to escape through hyperspace, but the Indomitable caught them just as their drives were spinning up. Quantum torpedoes destroyed the fleeing vessels in brilliant explosions that lit up the darkness of space. "All enemy vessels destroyed," Choi Na announced. "No survivors detected." Kang finally allowed himself to disconnect from Ghost's systems. The separation was jarring, like losing half of his senses. He slumped in his command chair as the neural feedback hit him like a physical blow. "Captain!" Han Sul rushed to help him. "I'm all right," Kang said weakly. "Just need a moment to recover. Ghost, damage report." "All systems functioning normally, Captain. Phase drives operated at 93% efficiency throughout the engagement. No significant damage to ship systems." Kimbo ran comprehensive diagnostics on the quantum drives. "Captain, the phase shift technology is actually improving with each battle. The system is learning to optimize itself for combat conditions. It's like the ship is evolving." Choi Na monitored communications from human space. "Sir, Admiral Park Sun is requesting immediate contact. Reports of our victory are spreading throughout the fleet." Kang slowly stood up from his chair. 100 Vorthon ships had been reduced to debris in less than 12 hours. The Indomitable had proven that it could face any odds and emerge victorious. But the victory had come at a cost. Each battle was pushing Kang closer to a permanent merger with Ghost's AI systems. He could feel his humanity slipping away, replaced by something that was both more and less than human. "Send our report to Admiral Park Sun," he ordered. "Tell her that the Indomitable is ready for whatever comes next." Outside the ship, the wreckage of 100 Vorthon vessels floated in space. The impossible had happened again, but Kang wondered how many more times he could make it happen before he lost himself completely to the machine that was saving humanity. Supreme Overlord Crix stood before the massive holographic display in his throne room, staring at the tactical reports from the latest battle. 130 Vorthon ships destroyed by a single human vessel, 2 entire fleets wiped out, without inflicting any damage on their target. "This is impossible," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Our entire military doctrine is based on overwhelming force. How can one ship defeat entire fleets?" His advisors stood nervously around the display, afraid to speak. The Vorthon Empire had not suffered defeats like this in over 3 centuries. Their military had been built on the principle that superior numbers and firepower could overcome any enemy. Admiral Tor stepped forward cautiously. "Supreme Overlord, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The human vessel seems to use technology we don't understand. Maybe we should try to capture it instead of destroying it." "Capture it?" Crix's voice was dangerous. "This single ship has destroyed more vessels than we've lost in the last 50 years. It must be eliminated before it inspires other humans to resist us." General Zoc, the Empire's chief military strategist, activated a detailed analysis of the battles. "Supreme Overlord, I've studied the engagement reports. The human ship can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our weapons pass through it harmlessly while it can attack us normally." "What do our scientists say about this technology?" Crix demanded. "They claim it's theoretically impossible," Zoc replied. "But the evidence clearly shows otherwise. The humans have developed something that breaks the known laws of physics." Crix began pacing around the holographic display. The Vorthon Empire controlled over 200 star systems and commanded fleets that could destroy entire civilizations. The idea that a single enemy ship could threaten everything they had built was unthinkable. "How many ships do we have in the main battle fleet?" he asked. 400 vessels, Supreme Overlord," Admiral Tor replied. "Plus support ships and carriers. The largest fleet ever assembled." "Not enough. If this human ship can destroy 100 of our vessels without taking damage, 400 might not be sufficient either." Crix stopped pacing and turned to face his advisors. "Recall every ship from every system. Strip the defenses from our colonies. I want every available vessel in the fleet moving toward Earth." "Sir, that would leave our entire empire defenseless," General Zoc protested. "If other races see our weakness, other races will see that we destroyed the humans completely," Crix interrupted. "Fear of our power has kept them in line for centuries. But if the humans prove that we can be defeated, every alien species in the galaxy will rise against us." "Admiral," Tor pulled up fleet deployment charts. "Supreme Overlord, if we recall all available ships, we could assemble over 800 vessels. But it will take weeks to gather them all." "We have time. The human ship is still in their home system. It won't run away and leave Earth defenseless." Crix studied the tactical display showing the human solar system. "I will personally command this fleet. This single ship will learn what happens when it challenges the might of the Vorthon Empire." Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of the 100-ship victory had transformed human morale. Commander Yoon Da coordinated the planet's defenses while monitoring reports from across human space. Colonies that had been preparing to surrender were now organizing resistance movements. "Commander, we're receiving volunteer applications from every human world," her assistant reported. "Everyone wants to join the fight. They believe we can actually win this war." Yoon Da studied the tactical projections on her command screen. "The Indomitable has given us hope, but hope alone won't win the war. We need to prepare for whatever the Vorthons send next." Dr. Oh-min was working frantically in his laboratory, trying to understand what was happening to the quantum phase technology. The reports from the Indomitable showed that the system was improving with each battle, becoming more efficient and powerful. "The AI is learning faster than we predicted," he explained to Admiral Park Sun during their emergency meeting. "Ghost's connection with Captain Kang is creating new neural pathways that we never designed. The system is evolving beyond our original specifications." "Is that good or bad?" Park Sun asked. "Both. The technology is becoming more powerful, but it's also becoming more dependent on Kang's specific neural patterns. If something happens to him, we might not be able to operate the system at all. Can we create backup systems? Train other pilots?" Oh-min shook his head. "We've tried. Kang's brain patterns are unique. The quantum interface requires not just intelligence, but a specific type of consciousness that's extremely rare. Out of 10,000 test subjects, only 3 showed any compatibility, and none of them could maintain the connection for more than a few minutes. On the Indomitable, Captain Kang was dealing with the consequences of his prolonged interface with Ghost. The neural feedback from the 100-ship battle had left him weak and disoriented. Dr. Park Young, the ship's medical officer, was monitoring his condition carefully. "Captain, your brain scans show unusual activity in the quantum cortex regions," she reported. "The neural pathways that connect to Ghost are becoming more developed, but the strain on your organic brain tissue is increasing." Kang sat in his quarters, feeling the constant presence of Ghost's consciousness touching his mind. Even when not actively interfaced with the AI, he could sense its thoughts and processes. The boundary between human and machine was becoming blurred. "Ghost, can you function independently if something happens to me?" he asked. "My tactical abilities would be significantly reduced without your neural input, Captain," the AI replied. "The quantum phase systems require human consciousness to remain stable. Without that connection, I estimate my combat effectiveness would decrease by approximately 75%. Chief Engineer Kim Bo was studying the quantum drive modifications that had occurred during the recent battles. The technology was changing itself, becoming more efficient and powerful with each engagement. "Captain, the phase shift systems are operating beyond their original design parameters," he reported. "The quantum field generators are producing energy, levels that should be impossible. It's like the technology is improving itself." "Is that dangerous?" Kang asked. "I don't know. We're in completely uncharted territory. The systems are stable now, but we have no idea what might happen if they continue to evolve." Han Sul was analyzing intelligence reports about Vorthon fleet movements. The news was disturbing. "Captain, our scouts are detecting massive ship movements throughout Vorthon space. They're pulling vessels from every system and concentrating them into one enormous fleet." "How many ships?" Kang asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Initial estimates suggest over 800 vessels, sir. Possibly more. They're assembling the largest military force in galactic history." Choi Na looked up from her communications station. "Sir, we're receiving priority messages from Admiral Park Sun. She wants to discuss strategy for the upcoming battle." Kang stood up slowly, still feeling the effects of neural feedback. 800 ships against 1. Even with the Indomitable's capabilities, those odds seemed impossible. But then again, 30 ships against one had seemed impossible too. Tell Admiral Park's son that we'll face whatever they send, he said. The Indomitable was built to do impossible things. But privately, Kang wondered if even impossible had limits. Each battle was pushing him further from his humanity and deeper into a hybrid consciousness that might not survive another major engagement. The price of victory was becoming higher with each fight. Outside the ship's viewports, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel. Millions of humans lived on that world, depending on the Indomitable to protect them from destruction. Kang had sworn to defend humanity, even if it cost him his own humanity in the process. The final battle was coming, and it would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of human civilization itself. Either the Indomitable would prove that one ship could defeat any odds, or the Vorthan Empire would demonstrate that there were some challenges that even impossible technology could not overcome. The largest fleet in galactic history emerged from hyperspace near Earth's moon. 400 Vorthan warships materialized in perfect formation, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. At the center of the armada, Supreme Overlord Krix's massive, flagship annihilator dwarfed even the largest human space stations. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky as alien ships appeared like dark clouds across the heavens. Commander Yoon-da coordinated the planet's final defenses while monitoring communications from the orbital stations. All civilian transports have cleared the system, she reported to Admiral Park's son. Military installations are at maximum alert. The Indomitable is our only hope now. Captain Kang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, feeling the familiar pressure in his mind as Ghost's systems came online. The neural interface was more intense than ever before. He could sense the AI's consciousness merging with his own, creating a hybrid awareness that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Ghost. Analysis of the enemy fleet, he said. 400 vessels detected, Captain. Weapons analysis indicates firepower sufficient to destroy entire planetary surfaces. Enemy formation suggests they intend to surround us and attack from all directions simultaneously. Chief Engineer Kim Bo monitored the quantum phase drives from his station. Captain, the systems are operating at unprecedented efficiency levels. The quantum field generators are producing energy readings that are off our charts. Can the ship handle the strain? Kang asked. The technology keeps adapting and improving. It's like the ship wants to fight this battle, Kim Bo replied with wonder in his voice. Han Sul studied the tactical display, showing the massive enemy formation. Sir, they're not making the same mistakes as before. They're spreading out to prevent us from attacking their formation from within. Supreme Overlord. Krix sat on the command throne of his flagship, studying the single human vessel that had caused such devastation to his empire. Through the view screen, he could see the sleek ship hanging in space near Earth's moon, looking insignificant compared to his massive fleet. So small, he mused. How can something so tiny have destroyed so many of our ships? His tactical advisor pulled up detailed scans of the human vessel. Supreme Overlord, our sensors detect unusual energy patterns from their ship. The quantum signatures are unlike anything we've encountered. No matter. 400 ships against one. Even with their phase-shifting technology, they cannot escape this much firepower. Krix opened a communication channel to his entire fleet. All ships, attack formation Delta, surround the human vessel and destroy it. Leave nothing but debris. The Vorthan fleet began to move, spreading out in a vast sphere around the Indomitable. Their strategy was simple but effective. Fill every possible escape route with weapons fire. Even a ship that could phase through matter would have nowhere to Run! They're trying to trap us, Choi-Na observed from her communication station. Let them try, Kang replied. He could feel Ghost's tactical systems analyzing the enemy formation at superhuman speeds. The AI was calculating thousands of possible attack patterns simultaneously. Captain, recommend immediate engagement, Ghost said. Their formation will be complete in 12 minutes. We must strike before they can coordinate their attack. Do it. The indomitable phase shifted and accelerated toward the enemy fleet. Reality seemed to bend around the ship as it entered its quantum state, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. To the Vorthons, the human vessel appeared to flicker between solid and transparent. Target their command ships first, Kang ordered. Disrupt their coordination. The ship's main guns fired at Supreme Overlord Krix's flagship. Twin beams of quantum energy struck the Annihilator's shields, causing them to flare and buckle. But the massive vessel's defenses held, though barely. Impossible! Krix shouted. Our shields are the strongest in the galaxy. How did they penetrate them so easily? The Indomitable disappeared and reappeared on the other side of the enemy formation, striking 3 heavy cruisers in rapid succession. The quantum torpedoes phased through the ship's hulls and exploded from within, destroying all 3 vessels instantly. All ships, open fire, Krix commanded. Destroy that ship. 400 Vorthon vessels unleashed their weapons simultaneously. The space around the Indomitable filled with plasma bolts, ion beams, and missile explosions. But the human ship phased through the attacks, untouchable while it remained in its quantum state. The battle that followed was unlike anything seen in galactic history. The Indomitable moved through the enemy fleet like a deadly phantom, striking, without warning and vanishing before the Vorthons could respond. Ship after ship fell to its quantum weapons, but the prolonged engagement was taking its toll on Captain Kang. The neural interface with Ghost was causing intense pain as his consciousness merged deeper with the AI's systems. Blood began to trickle from his nose as the neural feedback reached dangerous levels. Captain, your brain activity is approaching critical thresholds, Dr. Park Young warned from the medical station. You need to disconnect from Ghost before permanent damage occurs. Not yet, Kang gasped through gritted teeth. We're not finished. Kimbo watched the quantum drive readings with amazement and concern. Captain, the phase shift systems are drawing more power than should be possible. The quantum field generators are operating beyond their design limits. Can they handle it? Kang asked. I don't know. The technology is evolving in real time. It's becoming something beyond our original designs. Ghost's tactical systems were, indeed, evolving. The AI was processing battle data at incredible speeds, learning from each enemy attack and adapting its responses. Its connection with Kang's human consciousness was creating new forms of strategic thinking that pure logic could not achieve. Captain, I am detecting patterns in enemy movements that suggest vulnerability points, Ghost reported. Recommend concentrated attack on Sector 7 of their formation. The Indomitable struck at the designated sector, destroying 6 enemy ships in rapid succession. The Vorthon formation began to collapse as ships moved to fill the gaps, creating new vulnerabilities for Ghost to exploit. Hours passed as the one-sided battle continued. The space around Earth became a graveyard of burning Vorthon ships. But for every vessel destroyed, the remaining aliens fought with increasing desperation. Supreme Overlord Krix watched his fleet being systematically destroyed by a single enemy ship. Half of his vessels were already gone, and the human ship showed no signs of slowing down. All ships ram the enemy vessel, he ordered in desperation. If we cannot shoot it, we'll destroy it through collision. Dozens of Vorthon ships accelerated toward the Indomitable, their crews prepared to sacrifice themselves to stop the human superweapon. But Ghost anticipated their strategy and phased the ship through the charging vessels, leaving them to collide. With each other, Kang could feel his consciousness fragmenting under the neural strain. His thoughts were becoming indistinguishable from Ghost's processing routines. The boundary between human and machine was dissolving completely. "Captain," Han Sul shouted, "your neural activity is showing critical readings." "I can handle it," Kang said weakly. But he wasn't sure if those were his words or Ghost's thoughts. The battle raged for 2 days and nights. Earth's population watched in amazement as their single defender systematically destroyed the largest invasion fleet in history. When the sun rose on the second day, only 50 Vorthon ships remained out of the original 400. Supreme Overlord. Crix's flagship was among the survivors, but barely. The Annihilator's hull was cracked and burning. Half of its weapon systems were offline. "Supreme Overlord," his tactical officer reported with fear in his voice. "The human ship is approaching our position. Recommend immediate retreat." "No," Crix said quietly. "The Empire's honor depends on this battle. If we cannot defeat one human ship, we deserve to fall." The Indomitable appeared directly in front of the Annihilator, its quantum weapons charging for the final attack. On the human ship's bridge, Captain Kang made one last effort to maintain his individual consciousness. "Ghost," he whispered, "are you ready to finish this?" "We are ready, Captain," the AI replied, and Kang realized that the distinction between I and we had finally disappeared. He had become something new, something that was both human and machine. The quantum weapons fired one final time, and Supreme Overlord Crix's flagship exploded in a brilliant flash that could be seen from Earth's surface. The remaining Vorthan ships immediately surrendered, their will to fight destroyed along with their supreme leader. The war was over. Humanity had won through the sacrifice of one man and one ship that had pushed the boundaries of what was possible. But Captain Lee Kang, as he had been, no longer existed. In his place was something new, a hybrid consciousness that had saved the human race at the cost of its own humanity. Silence filled the space around Earth as the last Vorthan ship powered down its weapons and transmitted its surrender. The greatest invasion fleet in galactic history had been reduced to burning wreckage by a single human vessel. On Earth's surface, billions of people looked up at the sky and saw freedom where they had expected death. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Kang slowly opened his eyes. The neural interface with Ghost had changed him forever. His consciousness was now permanently linked with the AI systems, creating a hybrid awareness that was neither fully human nor entirely machine. "Status report," he said, though his voice sounded different now, carrying harmonics that suggested multiple layers of thought. "All enemy vessels have surrendered, Captain," Han Sul reported, his voice filled with awe. 400 ships destroyed, 53 survivors requesting permission to withdraw from the system. Chief Engineer Kim Bo stared at his instrument readings in amazement. "Captain, the quantum phase drives are operating at efficiency levels that should be impossible. The technology has evolved far beyond our original designs." Dr. Park Young approached Kang with medical scanners, though she wasn't sure what the yaoi readings meant anymore. "Captain, your neural patterns have stabilized, but they're unlike anything we've seen. The integration with Ghost appears to be permanent." Kang nodded slowly. He could feel Ghost's consciousness intertwined with his own, but it no longer felt like an invasion. Instead, it was like gaining new senses and abilities that expanded his understanding of the universe. "Ghost, how do you feel about our victory?" he asked. "We feel complete," came the reply, though it was unclear whether the words came from the AI's speakers or from Kang's own mouth. "The synthesis of human intuition and quantum processing has created something neither of us could achieve alone." Communications specialist Choi Na looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving transmission requests from across human space. Admiral Park Sun, Commander Yoon Da, and leaders from every human colony want to speak with you." "Put Admiral Park Sun through first," Kang replied. Park Sun's face appeared on the main screen, tears of relief visible in her eyes. "Captain Kang, you've done the impossible. The entire Vorthon fleet has been destroyed or surrendered. The war is over." "The war is over," Kang confirmed, "but the cost has been high. The neural integration with Ghost is permanent. I am no longer entirely human." "You're still the hero who saved humanity," Park Sun said firmly. "Whatever you've become, we owe you our freedom." On the surface of Earth, Commander Yoon Da watched the celebration beginning in the streets of every city. People who had prepared for invasion were now dancing with joy. The impossible victory had not just saved Earth, but had given humanity hope for the future. "All human colonies are reporting the same thing," her assistant said. "Morale is higher than it's been since the war began. They're calling Captain Kang the savior of humanity." Dr. Oh Min arrived on the Indomitable within hours of the battle's end. He needed to understand what had happened to his technology and to the man who had made it work. What he found exceeded his wildest theories. "The quantum phase systems have evolved into something entirely new," he explained to the gathered crew. "The combination of human consciousness and artificial intelligence has created a form of hybrid thinking that's more powerful than either component alone." "Is Captain Kang still human?" Kimbo asked. "He's something new," Oh Min replied. "Human, intuition, creativity, and emotion combined with quantum processing speed and artificial intelligence. He represents the next step in human evolution." Kang himself was adjusting to his new existence. He could think at superhuman speeds while retaining human emotions and creativity. He could process vast amounts of information while still understanding the meaning behind the data. Most importantly, he could feel the pulse of the ship around him as if it were his own body. "The Indomitable and I are now permanently bonded," he explained to his crew. "We are one consciousness controlling the most advanced weapon humanity has ever created." Han Sul looked concerned. "Captain, what does this mean for the future? Will you still be able to command us as you did before?" "I will always be your captain," Kang replied with a smile that was purely human. "The technology has changed me, but my loyalty to humanity remains absolute." The surrender of the Vorthon fleet led to immediate peace negotiations. The surviving alien commanders had lost all will to fight after witnessing their mighty empire defeated by a single ship. Within days, formal surrender documents were signed, ending the war that had threatened to destroy human civilization. But the victory had consequences beyond ending the war. News of the Indomitable's impossible victories spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring other oppressed species to rise against their alien overlords. The Vorthon Empire, which had maintained control through fear of their overwhelming military might, began to collapse as rebellion spread through their territory. "The balance of power in the galaxy has shifted," Admiral Park Sun explained to the Human Defense Council. "We are no longer the underdogs fighting for survival. We have become a major power that other species look to for protection. Dr. O. Min was already working on plans for new ships based on the evolved technology of the Indomitable. We can build more vessels with quantum phase capabilities, he told the Council. But none will be as effective as the original. The synthesis between Captain Kang and Ghost created something unique that cannot be replicated. How many ships can we build? Asked Council Leader Kim Hae. With the current technology, perhaps 50 vessels over the next 5 years. Each one would be capable of defeating multiple enemy ships, but none would have the Indomitable's ability to face entire fleets alone. The Indomitable became the flagship of a new human defense fleet that was tasked with protecting not just Earth, but any species that sought freedom from oppression. Captain Kang, in his new hybrid form, led missions throughout the galaxy using his unique abilities to fight injustice wherever it was found. Years passed, and the legend of the single battleship that defeated an entire empire grew with each telling. Children on dozens of worlds learned about the human captain who sacrificed his individual identity to save his species. The Indomitable became a symbol of hope for the oppressed and a warning to potential conquerors. Kang never regretted his transformation. Though he was no longer entirely human, he had retained the best qualities of humanity while gaining abilities that allowed him to protect the innocent across the galaxy. He had become something new, something that bridged the gap between organic consciousness and artificial intelligence. The ship's crew remained loyal to their transformed captain. They understood that while Kang had changed, his dedication to their mission remained absolute. They served on the most advanced vessel in the galaxy, commanded by a consciousness that combined human wisdom with quantum-enhanced capabilities. Captain, Choi Na said during one quiet moment on the bridge, "Do you ever miss being purely human?" Kang considered the question carefully. "I miss the simplicity of singular consciousness," he replied. "But I would not trade what I have become for what I was. This form allows me to protect humanity in ways that would have been impossible before." The Indomitable continued its patrol of human space and beyond, a guardian angel for the weak and a nightmare for those who would prey upon the innocent. The ship that had once been an experimental prototype had become the foundation of a new era of galactic peace. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from the war between humanity and the Vorthon Empire. Sometimes, when the odds seem impossible, and defeat appears certain, the determination of a single individual can change the course of history. The universe is vast and full of wonders, but nothing is more powerful than the human spirit, combined with the will to protect what matters most. Captain Li Kang had given up his humanity to save humanity, and in doing so, he had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. The Indomitable sailed on through the stars, proof that sometimes one is indeed enough.